Hello, welcome to my comparison review of the Spark models, 43rd scale Mazda 787B, the Le Mans winning number 55 from 1991, and then the 1989 Mazda 767B, which I saw racing in the 1,000 kilometers of Brands Hatch back in 1989, and here's a photo of that car in that race. And that car particularly stood out from the rest of the field because it was by far the loudest car on the track. It physically hurt your ears as it went past. Honestly, it was just quite an incredible car. So this Q model I bought a good few years ago, probably in something like 2013, I'm not really sure, and it cost me £45. This is from the Streamline sub-brand of Q model. And you can see some information on the bottom there. Whereas this is the full Spark model, £65, but typically I've seen them for sale on eBay for £170, £140, £150. So these are expensive cars. It's not the Spark hatchette model, and you may have seen my unboxing and review of this car on the channel. It's in this playlist together with other 787 Mazda models. Anyway, so this is a comparison really of the detail and the proportions of the two cars, and at the moment I'm finding it fairly hard to tell between. Let's look at the print first of all, the printing on the cars. So a good place to start with that is the roof, where you've got these competitor stickers, and you've got the driver lineup there on the back. Let's compare that with this one, where you've got the driver lineup on the roof, and then you've got some GTP competitor stickers on the side pods. Very similar really. One thing that you note is the aerial on this car is a little bit thicker, well, reasonably thicker than the aerial on this car, and in fact there are two aerials on this car. There's a black one in front and a silver one behind. That black one is particularly fine. They're both very fine. So these are definitely better aerials. Let's look at the windscreen detail. You've got the points where the windscreens are clamped down. Windscreen is clamped down, and the wiper. Let's look at that wiper. There we go. Let's put a lighter background behind the wiper. Okay, and do the same on the Q model. So, looking at the wiper first. Gosh, you're going to be better placed to see that than I am. The Spark appears to have better details because there are holes within the wiper, between the elements of the wiper. The clamping points on the screen are differently represented on this car. That's worth knowing. Okay, looking at obviously the graphic, the livery is completely different on this one, and so you had the finish line livery. You still had Renown, so that's on the latest 787B. You've got Renown, and with the wording Charge on the back. I don't know what Renown and Charge are, whether they're even the same company or anything. But this is definitely Finish Line, and I've got no idea what Finish Line is, but it does say on the Mazda Automobile something genuine accessories. Okay, so anyone who's a Mazda fan from the late 80s, early 90s, they'll be familiar with the Finish Line. Now, an important comparison is with the wheels, and we can see we've got the wheels with aero covers on the later car, which you could argue is more boring, but in terms of technical, it's technically more interesting to see this aero piece. But so let's look at the rear wheels and compare them. Like I've said before, the detail on the rear wheels on this car, these aren't rolling wheels, isn't bad at all, but I'm tempted to say that the wheel detail, I think the studs holding the bolts holding the three-piece wheels together, or two-piece, I'm not sure, are slightly more well defined on this Q model car. I've always been impressed with the detail on this Q model car. Okay, and right, a complaint I made on the 787 model is this step here, this aero floor is slightly too wide, I would say, slightly too obvious, too sticking out. On this one you've got the same aero lip at the bottom, might be hard to pick out, you can see the ends where you've got more of a step, but here it's painted body colour and it isn't extended so far, so I think that's probably a more accurate representation. You've got the very similar lower venting and exhaust pipe. In terms of the cooling radiators, you do have some detail in there. On the other side you've got more radiators, you've got two, so you have got the thinning showing on the radiator, and here you've got the satisfaction of really seeing the radiators on the top of the body. Okay, whereas on this one you've got aero vent pieces that really stops you seeing anything in there, and I suspect I don't think there's anything in there. I don't think you can see a radiator at all. As for these scoops, fairly well represented there, and here they don't really exist at all. Probably just an evolution that they didn't have scoops on there, they were hoping that would be adequate. Anyway, have a look again at that photo of the real car. Let's look at the wing pylons. You've got reasonable representation on there, and they're a very different pylon there. Fine, different end plates, but now on the racing car that I saw, this wing was white, so here it's black. I don't know, probably just a different race. They'd probably replaced the wing and just had it in a different colour. Maybe it showed off the finish line graphics better, so possibly there. Now looking at the fronts of the car and the headlights, what have we got? Similar really. They're different. The headlights are different, but I wouldn't say one was better than the other, I don't think. Interestingly, the headlights on the 787 are bigger than on the 767. You notice it particularly from the top there. I think maybe the nose is bigger on the 787 because there's cooling in the front. So looking into there you can see a cooling radiator of some kind, whereas there appears to be there's no outlet here, and there's barely anything in the way of inlets. I would say they were brake cooling ducts. So there's no front end cooling here. So on this car they've tried to put all the cooling in the back. So that's probably, so the cooling in the front is probably led to the larger front headlights and things. But in terms of actual accuracy, fine. Lip spoilers very similar. I do love this car, so I can't see myself getting rid of this one or this one, really. So going to the underside, there we go, not a lot of detail. Let's see that on this car. Put it the same way around. Not a great deal amount of detail. Okay, so I'm not sure on the accuracy of these floor pieces, but I'm not really a fan. Okay, so very similar qualities. Happy with both. Fuel filler caps, that's another detail to pick up on. Okay, that's a fairly simple pattern on there, a circle with some lines coming out. Here you've got a black inside bit, and I managed to damage the aerial, so let's see if I can pull that back up. Yeah, no problem. Okay, phew. There. So, very happy with both of these models. I think having the two, showing a little bit of the history of the car, is good. And I hope you like that. Do subscribe to the channel. Do look at the playlist with the 787 cars in. There'll be maybe four videos on there for you to watch. Another one I'm going to do is a comparison of this with the 12 scale TSM model version of that car. So thanks for watching, and you'll hear from me again sometime soon.